I remember the exact moment I got the call about the job that I got, my first job right out of university. I was traveling with my family and someone called me and told me, "You landed the job." I was thrilled. It was my first job. And after the initial wave of excitement, reality set in. I realized that I was about to step into a huge company filled with very experienced colleagues. And I couldn't stop the thought or shake the thought that, what if I fail? So for a brief moment, doubt crept in. But I made a decision. Instead of letting that hold me back, letting the fear hold me back, I decided to embrace that challenge. And when I think back about that moment, I realize now that that moment wasn't about starting a new job. It was about stepping into the unknown and not letting the uncertainty hold me back. And this is exactly what I want to talk to you about here today. Let me ask you a question. How many of you have been told to get out of your comfort zones? It's a phrase that we hear a lot, right? And it's for a good reason, because it's absolutely crucial for growth of any kind. And I believe it's so important that I would take it one step further and say, don't even let yourselves reach those zones in the first place. Because the minute you start feeling too comfortable, you stop growing. Think about a caterpillar. It spends its life crawling, safe and predictable. But in order to become a butterfly, it has to undergo or go through a very painful transformation in the cocoon before it emerges beautiful and able to fly. If it had stayed comfortable, it would not have been able to reach its full potential. And the same goes for us. Growth comes from discomfort, from uncertainty, from challenges that push us beyond what we think we can handle. And just like the butterfly, we can only realize our full potential once we dare to break through. When I started my engineering career right out of university, I joined an engineering team and I found myself to be the only female in the team. I was also the youngest person in the team, the one with the least experience and so on. And as you can imagine, that gap made it a little bit difficult for me to right away get integrated into the team. Now, I had two choices to make. Either try to blend in and be quiet, or leverage my difference, stand out and make an impact. I chose the latter, and that decision shaped my entire career. Every year in my career, I found myself doing something new. Not just because someone told me to do so, but because I knew that if I wasn't learning, I wasn't growing. And if I wasn't growing, I was stuck. I took on responsibilities that were done for the first time out for team. I did tasks that were beyond my job description. I even switched my role multiple times, moving into roles that had very little and sometimes almost nothing to do with my previous role. Was the change scary? Absolutely. Was it worth it? Without a doubt. People who are successful, innovative, impactful aren't the ones who played it safe. They're the ones who took risks, embraced uncertainty, and dared to feel uncomfortable. Stepping into the unknown not only expanded my technical knowledge, but it also built my network. I sometimes got asked this question at work: how is it that everyone seems to know you? And the answer is simple. At some point, I worked with that person. I helped that person. I collaborated with that team. And with every task that I worked on, I gave it my absolute best. And people remembered that. Your work speaks for you, so make sure that it says the right things. So, what are some of the most important skills that I believe are key to success? When we think about engineering, we think about technical skills. But let me tell you something surprising. The feedback that I most frequently received wasn't about my technical skills. It was about my good communication skills. And at first, I didn't understand why that was important. But after a while, I understood that being able to communicate, to collaborate, to build relationships is what you need to grow. People need to want to work with you. And if you can be integrated into teams, you will always have opportunities to develop. On the other hand, if you're not able to develop good communication skills, then no amount of technical knowledge will help you break through career barriers. Another important thing that I've learned is self-reflection and knowing your strengths. We all have strengths, we all have weaknesses. The trick is to know what they are. And my advice is leverage your strengths to build your career. You can know your weaknesses, you can try to improve them, but don't let them hold you back, because in reality, no one expects you to be perfect, but they do expect you to bring value. I also make it a habit to seek feedback from others and compare it to my own self-assessment, because sometimes we can be blind to our own areas for improvement, and an outside perspective can be very useful. And here's another thing that I strongly believe in. Ask questions, especially the stupid ones. Curiosity is one of the most powerful tools for growth. If you don't understand something, ask. If you think something can be done in a better way, challenge it. Some of the best ideas came from people who dared to ask why. I remember during my training days, I was asking a lot of questions. I was very eager to learn. And at some point, I asked a question, and a colleague turns to me and says, "Are you sure you're an engineer?" Now, I could have let that stop me from asking any more questions, but I didn't. I kept asking, I kept learning, I kept growing. And very soon after, that same person that mocked me became the person that frequently came to me for advice on how to do certain things, because he knew that I had probably found a better way to do it. Later, I was also asked to lead a team of experienced colleagues who were much more experienced than I was and much more older than I was and had been in the company for much longer than I was, in order to improve a certain process that they'd been using for years. Why do you think I was asked to do that? It's because they knew that having traits of curiosity and being eager to learn and going the extra mile is what was needed to improve that process, and I did. And that experience taught me that leadership isn't about knowing everything, but it can be about bringing in your unique perspective and striving to find solutions. So, another important thing actually that I have learned is the importance of authenticity. Success isn't about fitting into a mold or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about embracing who you are and bringing in your unique perspective to the table. In a professional setting, authenticity can build trust, strengthen relationships, and allow you to make meaningful impact. So be true to yourself and success will follow. However, success also isn't just about climbing a ladder. It's about making sure that that ladder is going somewhere meaningful. I first started my career in gas turbine maintenance, an exciting and challenging field. But something felt off. I realized that burning fossil fuels didn't align with what I wanted to contribute to the world. So I took a leap. I used my experience to transition into decarbonization within the framework of gas turbine power plants. It wasn't easy to do this change, but it was fulfilling. And this is what I want to leave you with. As mechanical engineers, our skills can take us in many different directions. Choose a path that makes you proud. Work hard and don't let fear stop you from moving forward. So as you step into your careers, remember that comfort zones are overrated. Growth comes from pushing beyond them. And growth isn't about waiting for the perfect moment. It's about making the uncomfortable moments count. So go out there and make them count. Thank you very much.